Do I check out right here?
I'll refer you. Yeah, right here.
We're building new shit all throughout here. We got schematics, we got blueprints and shit.
What is up? We are in with the third episode of the Bamfcast. Hope y'all are doing okay, but still enjoying my peace after dealing with our cracked out neighbors. It's been really quiet, you know. I can't complain too much, but amidst all my peace, dude, I've still been on the Cobra, King Cobra JFS, man. His new lady that he has in the picture, I think she still goes by Now, which is like Naked and Laughing, but I don't know, man. I think her channel got taken down or something like that. I don't ever really try to follow, but man, this lady she is wild. King Cobra is about a few, hangouts away from getting trapped with a crazy child by this psychotic woman. You know, at the end of the day, though, I hope Cobra JFS, if you don't know who he is, we look him up. Give you a quick background. Out of the people that call, content online, they call him lolcows, right? But dude, he's the king of the crop, man. I don't know. He's really the king of lolcow. Like, I don't know. He's really the only one I watch, but it's always a detriment to my algorithm because as soon as I watch like one of his like clipped videos from stream, man, it's just nothing but garbage across my whole algorithm, my homepage of YouTube. There's this one stream that he deletes like all his streams. I feel like that she's in when she comes and visits, man. And there's this one where she's always like just wrecked, dude. They all just both get like this like knotted out on Xans or just like drink so much. And there's this one scene, man. It was like from one of the streams they had done, I guess when she's visiting again, and she's in there like having like an existential crisis about something, and she's cleaning in Cobra's kitchen. And you just see her just like put her face in her hands, and she's just like boo-hoo and just like full on crying, having an episode, and she like falls to her knees, and then, like it's just silent for a minute. You just hear her sobbing, and then you hear King Cobra goes, "What's up, YouTube? Here with another drink combo." Dude, it's like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. This poor guy, man. He's stuck in this perpetual loop of like thinking for himself and being tricked by his trolls. He's just being ran in circles by everything, and he just doesn't know what to do. It's like he has this defiance thing of like when people really care about him, they try to tell him what to do, but he's just like, no, forget all that. I'm gonna do what I want to, and he just like leans into this like horrible woman, dude. It's so terrible, man. He was saying that his dry spell was ended like after 6 years, which it's like, man, you should just kept the FAP on going, man. Like, is it really worth it, just to be chained to this sea hag, bro? Dude, speaking of FAPs, man, I'll tell on myself. This is definitely a very hilarious story. Like, bro, I remember being God, dude, I had to be maybe like 13 or something like that. Just like not many years before this started fapping, And I remember one time I had a birthday or it's something like that, like a little get together we had, and it was like maybe a 2-day thing we were doing. Like I was just having, my grandma was like, yeah, just have, whoever you want to come over for the, and we'll get food for the, the next couple days. Y'all can hang out, play games. It was sweet. But I remember like the first night, like I fell asleep, dude. I popped one off, but it was like, dude, I don't know what it is, man. Those like young, like when you're like a kid just hitting puberty, they're very aggressive nuts. And I remember like I had this black shirt on, dude, and like I was just thinking, I was like, well, I'll just finish and clean up, and then I'll be good. But what ended up happening, I ended up passing out immediately, and I didn't realize it. Like I go in and get some breakfast the next day or the next morning, and I'm sitting there. And one of my buddies, Mark, man, I'm sitting there and he's just like, bro, what the fuck? And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, dude, your shirt. And I look down, dude, and there's just like, it's like, dude, this fucking cum blast from like the fucking, it was like someone fire hosed me with jizz. It was just like stained on the shirt. It was like undisrupted for the night. So it just dried and like it was like a fossil on my shirt, dude. He was like, bro, did you just blow? I was like, no, man, it it was toothpaste, man. I just didn't pay attention. It was just like dribbling like a cup of toothpaste out of your mouth. Dude, the gig was up, but I was just definitely fighting it back then. I was never gonna let anyone know I jerked back then, especially my grandma. I was just like, dude, shut up. Like I would even absolutely remember like sometimes when I just needed like, you're just like looking for it, because I could get away with a lot, you know, with like the internet porn and all that stuff back then, because my grandma had like no concept of like technological knowledge. I remember back when AOL was a thing, it sucked ass, dude. I couldn't look up anything. I remember one time I accidentally found like I think it was like some Inuyasha hentai or something like that when I was like, I had to be like in middle school, 8th grade or something, probably before that. But man, I remember finding that, and I had to like completely create a whole new screen name, because I don't. If no one probably knows what I'm talking about, but if you were like had AOL, like it was they had like a kid blocker, or like I don't know. It was like if you checked a certain age range, you couldn't like, you know, delete your history or any of that stuff. So it was just there. So I found out, oh, I can just make new screen names and look at whatever I want to and just like delete them and be like, oh, you know, I don't like that name anymore. I like this name, but I was just really lying entirely. But once the high speed came in, once we got the cable internet, it was on, man. I definitely have some memories back when I was a kid where my grandma would be like, what do you want to eat today? And I would like look through the fridge and find something that I knew wasn't in there and just like get her to order it, or not order it, go pick it up. And I just like go into my downstairs lair, and prime time for a self-hurting, if you know what I mean. It was, dude, it was just so fiendish that, you know, I didn't have any brothers or anything like that. I could only imagine. I remember same guy I was talking about earlier, Mark, man. Oh my God, dude. His brother and like, well, his dad had like, what was it? It was it Penthouse, I think? Penthouse magazines. And, you know, we had, you know, internet. So at least I had a computer, and I think it's still in the AOL days. So I was real scared to like look stuff up, you know, with, you know, being on the verge of getting caught. But dude, Mark, his brother and his dad, they're all like ninja stealing these penthouses from each other. It was officially Mark's dad's, you know, he's the one that bought it, right? But he would never confront them about it because he was just, I guess, embarrassed, didn't want to talk about it, you know, with his kids, his 2 sons. So he would go find them and steal them back. But then, you know, his brother Hank would come and steal that from him. And then, you know, Mark would steal it from Hank. And dude, it was just this like ongoing, like porn round robin, dude. But anyway, Cobra should lean back in on the nog, dude, and just go back to being celibate. I feel bad for the kid. And if you've not ever seen what the hell ever I'm saying, you've never looked at any of his content, I highly recommend checking out was a Boglum Chronicles, and just get the snippets, man. Sometimes the live streams are just too hard to watch. Like the official Cobra streams, it's so chaotic. Sometimes it's like assault on the senses, but you got to get the digested versions down. Oh, but on another note, some gaming vibes, dude. I have got a new PC and just editing, dude, playing games. Like I'm coming from I had a 1070 Ti and an i7 processor from like 2013, dude. It was pretty rough. I kept lying to myself. I was like, oh, I don't need this, dude. That one didn't even have an SSD, so everything was just so slow. I remember playing Rainbow Six Siege, and it would take like 20 minutes to load the map, and I'm like, I just blame someone else, like, dude, who's got one of these fucking toasters? And it's just like me, like cooking the entire lobby with wait time. But now we're smooth, we're buttery. We got a 4070, we got a i9 from last October that dropped. So it's been an experience, to say, you know, the least. Holy crap, man. I've also been thinking about how I could do some more story times, but some of them, like, I just want to digest them down a little more. But I'm thinking of this one, man. There's this kid I knew, and he was, I want to say, if I was 27, something like that, 28, he was probably, I think he was just 18 or 19. It's funny because he wasn't the only one, but his family was, you know, pretty prejudiced, pretty racist, we'll say that. And it kind of bled onto him, but he was like a sweet kid. Like, it just, something in my heart just felt like he just really wasn't like all that. It was like maybe he was just listening to his parents, and he had a touch of the autism. He had Asperger's. So he, you know, when it came to like thinking for himself and like social shit, he was a little jammed up on it. But one day I remember I knocked something loose with him, dude. We were both machine operators at this place, right? And we're breaking down a machine together. We're talking, and he's just like, I asked him about it. I'm like, dude, so like, why do you kind of think like that? Like, why do you, I was like, you just think it's, kind of, fuck that, two people that are, I can't remember the topic, but we're talking about like I guess interracial couples or something like that. I'm like, dude, I'm like mixed, and my girlfriend, she's white, and my whole family's just like mixed race pretty much. And he just goes off to say, yeah, well, it's like stuff I've heard, like, my mom and dad said there's a lot of genetic issues. And I'm like, first of all, I'm pretty sure the more different two partners are, the like higher genetic, score you're going to get. Cause it's like all this different shit. Like you're getting the best of both worlds, whatever. I was like, I don't really know, but that's what I've heard. And then I told him, I'm like, well, dude, you're literally just a product of your environment. You can't really help it. What can you do? And that was like my way of dismissing him, because I can't sweat it too much. He's his own kid, or he's his own person. What can I do? Until I found out, it was maybe 2 or 3 days later, he came up and he told me, he's like, man, like, I'm kind of thinking about moving out of my parents' house. He's like, dude, you said that, I'm a product of my environment. Dude, that just really stuck with me, because it really made a lot of sense. And he's like, I like you, and you actually seem like one of the more, well put together guys here. At least, like, you're a cool guy to talk to and everything. I was like, oh, dude, thanks, man. And like I was saying before, he seemed like a totally good kid. But man, I think he kind of took my bit of advice a little too far, because there was this other girl, man, that was working there. He dove straight into the spicy hot Latina. And man, it was like, it was like, you could have picked a better partner, but man, he finds this girl. She's got 19 kids and like 7 baby daddies, dude. And the biggest kicker, she was only like 21 years old. Like, this is wild. So long story short, man, he starts hooking up with this Latina dude, and his parents are livid, bro. Like, he's still staying at his place. He buys like a new car and stuff like this, or he had bought a new car, and I guess that they had co-signed or something like that. When she found out, dude, they kicked him out and like took his car, like all this shit. I was like, bro, what are you doing? And I was like, aside from the, I'm happy you found somebody else, but dude, you gotta pick your partners better. Like this, like you're just like this single kid. You ain't got no children of your own, and you're picking like somebody with like baby mama drama like no other. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so before you know it, he's moved in with her, and starting out they were like really lovey-dovey. They seemed like they were gonna do well, and she, man, people who introduce like their kids way too early to another partner is very weird. Like, it's coming from somebody that comes from like a background with like a similar situation, but he ended up being a pretty solid to her kids, which I think he was probably the best impression that they could have had, because she told me some stories, man. Like, she was like an okay to talk to at work, but I would never think of like being like real considerate friends, or like I couldn't imagine having a relationship with her. She was just wild. I feel so bad, because when I first met her, you stand and you talk forever, factory shit. So this is before I was even a machine operator, so I was just like standing in one spot for like 8 hours straight. And I was talking to her, and she was like, oh yeah, like I wasn't really sure if I wanted to keep my last kid in my, or last time I got pregnant, so I already had like 3 or 4 kids. Like, no lie, she has a litter of like children, man. It's nuts. At the age of 21, like, nonetheless, that's wild. And she's like, yeah, the last guy, he said like, oh no, keep it, I'll support and everything. He's like, he's not helped at all. Like, it was too late to do anything about it. And so like, I don't really want to put her up. I never wanted to put her up for adoption or anything like that. So I was sitting there like, myself thinking I'm being helpful. And dude, I sat here and like ruin this dude. Like, bro, like, she was like, I was like, well, dude, just like go file child support for him and then just like garnish his wages. And bro, she did that. She's like, oh, that was like really helpful. And I'm thinking back, I was like, oh, dude, I've opened Pandora's box, man. I was like, what have I done? But at the same time, this guy was like, I don't know. I'd say he deserved it, but he was definitely probably not a prime candidate for some forgiveness in that situation. So anyway, our boy here, he starts dating this Latina girl, and soon after he moves in with her, she starts like just kind of hating him, because she realizes this guy has Asperger's, and he's like, when it comes to more serious shit, he's just kind of like oblivious to like some social situations and stuff. And the crazy thing is, they had gotten married like the second month, maybe first month they were together, dude. He was also going into the military. So, dude, if they get a divorce, man, like she's gonna take like all his benefits and shit, right? Like at least I would imagine that's what's gonna happen. But anyway, to say it, like a shortened version, he ends up getting out of it and everything. And I don't think he lost his military stuff because he went off to training and everything for, a few months. So I was just like, oh my God, dude, he's going to go through all this and just have nothing to show for it. She's just going to be like, reaping everything from him. But I think maybe he signed a prenup or they did something to negate that. But I'm actually happy for the dude. I was like, bro, chalk this up as a big old learning experience. But I think he lives like off somewhere else now. Last time I talked to him, he's like, yeah, I just bought a house and I'm just chilling out here in this other state I moved to. And I was like, dude, I'm happy for you. Thank God you got out of that horror situation. Shit, dude. Thinking back of, back in the younger days, I want to get one of my yearbooks, and I can't remember what year it was from. It was either 7th grade or 6th grade. I think it was 7th grade, man. We had this guy, man. Dude, so okay, I'll paint the scene here. We come into our class one day, like I don't think we had homeroom at this time. It was just like one of my English classes with Miss Brown, dude. We go in there, and this one kid, his name's Zach, I think, and we all come in, and he comes in, right? And bro, he's got his arm in a sling, dude. He's got little stitch. You could tell that he's got like little spots in his forehead and just all over his body, like little close-up stitches where he's gotten stitches all over his face and all over. He's got like, bruise scabs and shit all over. I'm like, dude, what happened to you? And he's just like, oh man, he's like, you know what a potato gun is, right? And I'm like, yeah. If you don't know, a potato gun is like this big, like they're mostly homemade. It's a big PVC pipe, and it has like a little compartment where you can spray like hair. It's mostly like hairspray is what I've heard people use, or something flammable like that, combustible. So you put hairspray in it, you stuff the potato in, and you click the ignite, or just like get a lighter and light it, and it launches like a potato, like a fucking RPG, dude. It's like it can kill it. It'll literally kill you. So he tells me that he sprayed hairspray in the potato gun. When he went to light it, it just exploded on him, dude. And then as soon as he tells me that, the teacher's like, all right, everyone line up. We got yearbook pictures today. And dude, we had all forgotten about it. And then yearbooks came out, and dude, it showed him there's Zach, and he's just got his arm in a sling, dude. He just looks like he's a black eye, dude. It's like one of the funniest things ever, dude. And also, this yearbook, it was actually like, I don't know if it was a club or a class, but our yearbook people, it was just a bunch of students, man. Some of the editing and like Photoshop work was just so bad, man. I remember that they did a tribute for this girl. Like, I guess her dad had passed away, and they had the picture, like a picture of the car that it was like his favorite car that he had. And then it was a picture of her and him side by side. But the way they cropped it looked like they were just making it looked like a meme, like someone made a shit post, because they were like, the way it was cropped, they were supposed to be like standing behind the car, and you could really tell they were trying to capture that, but it just looked like someone was just making this goofy ass like this meme, dude. It was these two giant people like just standing behind this car, and it just looked so like odd, dude. It was just like a massive shit post. That was back when Photoshop was not readily available, like to everyone, so I'm sure that it was like not even the teachers or anyone knew how to use it then, so it's just them slapping shit together. I'm pretty sure I remember she was like, oh, they did the tribute of our dad. And I was like, oh, that's nice, that's sweet, let me see. I looked at it, I was like, dude, what is this? Like, I like audibly laughed for a second, and I was like, oh shit, she got pissed. I was like, oh god, dude, I'm so sorry. But man, this episode's got me reminiscing about some of the old days, man. Working back at like Crystal, man. I even worked at it's like the East Coast White Castle is what a Crystal is. But man, I'll never forget like getting older from working like fast food, then having to do it again like much later in life. I worked at a Pizza Hut, man, and it was like chill for the most part. Yeah, our GM was really tight, and but we had this one assistant. Dude, there's always people like this in any job, man. And it doesn't matter as much if it's like more of a, like a job that takes more work or more skill, whatever. But, we're talking bare basic, like lower tier jobs that are just like fast food or, something like that. But some people just take too much charge. It's like you can tell that they don't have anything going on in their life except like being like this one girl is like an assistant manager. And man, she was like so monotone and like, oh my God, she was just like such a pain to deal with. And like she would do stuff sometimes like, well, when I was working at Pizza Hut, we had like these certain size cheese cups, like, you know, like medium pizzas get this cheese cup, like large pizzas get this cheese cup, like etc. Right? And I remember one time I had you're supposed to shake off like any excess. It's over the top because everyone's like so resilient about using like one shred too much of cheese, and they just like freak out. And it was really just her that would freak out that bad. But I remember I was looking up at the screen to see what else the pizza needed, and I took the scoop, and I hadn't leveled it off yet. I hadn't leveled off the cheese yet. But dude, she like snatched it out of my hand. Dude, it's like she like just snatched it out and was like, "Hey, you can't use all that." It was then I realized my bastard levels were about to increase, because I could be pretty great at my job, but man, I started really fucking with people, like especially just with her. Like anytime I got like I could tell I was getting under her skin, I couldn't help myself. I just have to do it more. And I remember well, if you ever work in fast food, especially like pizza, man, Super Bowl is like, they like freak out about it. It's like Christmas of pizzas. And it was coming up, and I was just like, I was joking. I was like, well, you know, I already have a job, so which I did. I was working another job while I was at Pizza Hut, and I was like, yo, I'm you know, I think this is, you know, tomorrow, Super Bowl day. I think it's a great day for me not to be here. And, you know, a couple of employees knew I was just like bullshit and whatever. But she was like, you could tell she was like looking around, like, well, you hear what she's like running over to our GM, like, like putting little like whispers in his ear. And I'm like, dude, I don't give a flying fuck. And she's just like, she comes up to me, she's like, you know, you should be saying stuff like that. You're raising eyebrows. I'm like, dude, that's like what I'm here to do, baby. Dude, that was like probably my only job that I just called and be like, hey, dude, I'm not coming anymore. Like, usually I'm pretty gracious. Like, I'm just like, hey, you know, this is my last little while, whatever. But dude, that was when I was just like, I'm pretty sure I was like at the Mexican place across the street having like some tacos, some carnitas, and like a beer, and I literally needed to leave there and then go into work like right after I finished eating. And I was talking to like my friend at the time, and I'm like, dude, like he's sitting there with me. I'm like, dude, I just really don't want to fucking go in right now. And he's like, dude, just fuck it, just quit, man. He's like, don't you already have a job? I'm like, dude, you know, you're right, man. And so like I like smashed down some tequila shots while I was there, and just like rode back with him. And I was like calling him like, hey man, I'm not coming in, I quit, dude. It's just like shit face. Like, that was actually how I recommend anyone quitting your job. Just in the spirit of the moment, decide to quit, and then just celebrate with some tequila shots and carnitas. I highly recommend it. Just thinking about that old assistant manager, man, she was just like one of the king NPCs, man. You know, I really gotta appreciate it. This one guy, man, I'm gonna have to throw up a clip or something, but dude, he is like the NPC crusher. There's one guy I started watching originally on TikTok named Sam Cam, and dude, he's so hilarious. He has like some glasses on or something like that. He's like recording people, and he just goes up and he just says some goofy stuff, but it's like really, he's like being nice, but it's just, dude, he's just dumb and NPCs, dude. They don't know what to think about him. That's essentially what I was doing, was just crushing my NPC assistant manager, man. Gonna wrap this cast up a little early. I don't want him to be too long and drown out. I try not to get too rambly, but